So in today's video, I'm out at one of my rental properties. This is an 8-unit apartment building, and we actually had a flood happen. So this has been a whole pain in the butt. We had recently renovated one of the units. We pumped 30 grand into the unit, found a good renter, got it leased up, and then no more than a month after they moved in, the unit flooded. We had to move them out. We went into fact-finding mode or investigation mode to try to figure out what actually happened here. We're back out here today to figure out if the action that we took actually solved the problem. So we'll get into that here shortly. So we're gonna head around back real quick to where I believe the issue is taking place, but this lower corner unit right here is the problem unit. Originally, when this unit flooded, we had kind of ruled out it being any sort of plumbing issue or plumbing break. Our first thought was, okay, hey, it's gotta be some sort of groundwater issue. Now, whether that is the groundwater is then leaking underneath the slab and then actually leaking up through the slab, through any cracks that there may be, or if there was some sort of pooling that took place in that back corner there, and then it was actually just leaking underneath the siding and then up onto the slab and then into the unit. So first thing we did to try to solve the problem was install a French drain. So that's the French drain right now lies where all this round rock is. And for those of you who don't know what a French drain is, it's basically you dig a ditch 2 or 3 feet below grade. You then, at the bottom of that ditch, you put in what's called a perforated pipe, and it's basically a pipe that has holes in the top side of it, so it can actually accumulate water, and then you can direct the water in which direction you want it to go. And then you backfill that ditch with round rock like you see here, so that the water can actually get down into the ground and into the perforated pipe. And then basically you grade it to the direction you want to go. Like in this case, the French drain now runs around the corner and then into the parking lot and into the catch basin out there, thus also keeping the ground much drier than it usually would. It basically absorbs all the groundwater out of the ground and gets it where we need it to go. So now that the French drain has been installed, let's go inside the unit and see if our theory was correct, and hopefully that French drain actually solved the problem and we don't have further work to be done. But I bought this little handy dandy humidity reader so that we can go inside, we can put it on the walls and in the areas that were affected, make sure that the humidity levels are at a percentage that it's acceptable so that we can actually button this thing back up and get it rented back out. Let's cruise inside and take a look. So here we are coming in through the front door, and we're just heading back to the area that was most affected. There was some water coming into the bedroom as well, and you might be able to see there we had to tear up the baseboard, but this area was most affected. I mean, we had just laid all this brand new flooring down, all new baseboard trim around throughout the whole unit, and we just had to tear all that up, and not to mention cut into the drywall here. Very unfortunate. So the setting we're mostly going to be using today is the wall setting. So if I have it on wall setting and I actually put it up against like my skin, obviously the human body is very humid, there's a lot of moisture in it, it'll get one type of reading. So as you can see, the bar goes from green to yellow to red. Red is obviously there's extreme moisture. Green is you're in the clear, and yellow is, I don't know, caution. So anyway, let's get started and take some readings and see if we can, one, if we've solved the problem, and two, if we have, we can actually start putting this thing back together and we can talk about what this whole experience has actually cost us or lost us, if you will. I'm just gonna start here in the kitchen because there's been no moisture whatsoever in the kitchen. Let's start with one of these kitchen walls and see what type of readings we get. 0.6, green bar up top, still 0.6. We even pulled out the range here, and anyway, let's go back here. 0.7. Cabinetry next to the sink, 2.3. Now let's actually head over here to the affected area and see what we have. So my main concern here is just making sure that all of this wood is dry. I mean, you can clearly see that this has been damp at some point. Now it feels pretty dry to the touch, but before we button this back up, I want to make sure that it is. So here is the moment of truth. Awesome. So we're in the green there, 3.5%. Let's do a few readings here. 1.3, 2.5. Okay. You can tell that this insulation got wet at some point, but it's dry to the touch now. Let's get a reading in here. 3.2, and it's green, so That's good. The reason you really want to be thorough about this and double check water damage and make sure everything's dry with a humidity reader is last thing that you want to do after all of this that we went through is assume that it's dry, put this place all back together, button up the drywall, and the issue happens again. Or maybe the water doesn't keep coming in, but if we don't get the walls dried out and we just cover it up with drywall, then mold can start to grow, and then you're just having even more and more issues. So it pays to take just a little bit of extra time at this stage and just make sure that the problem is solved, and don't rush and just try to put it back together so you can get another renter in here. We're taking the right steps to make sure that this problem's been solved and that it won't happen again. At this point, I am convinced that the French drain that we installed around the exterior has solved the problem. So that is a huge win. So now I'm gonna give the green light for our guys to come back in here, first off, button up the drywall, tape, texture it, get that fixed, lay the flooring down, reinstall the baseboard trim, and get this place ready to put on the market for rent. After this experience, I'm gonna be putting a new SOP in place on any of our rental properties that are built on a slab like this one is, that we need to take a look at the exterior landscape. If it's not graded properly and we think that there could be any sort of groundwater issues, then we need to install a French drain. And again, we could have caught it if we looked for it, but we really don't have a lot of properties on slab out here. So normally they're on just standard foundations, but anything on a slab, we need to start looking into this. This whole ordeal probably cost us, we have $2,000 in putting this back together, around $6,000 in lost rental income over the last handful of months we've been dealing with this. So we lost $8,000 when this whole situation could have been avoided by installing a simple French drain. All right, that's it for today, guys. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. See ya.